Sir, I'll come to you in terms of financial aspects of raising capital. Industry has always had challenges with liquidity, some even to the extent of failing to meet installment obligations. And now you have ECB, P, NIFD, and all that coming into real estate. How do you think real estate serious entrepreneurs can leverage these opportunities and get growth capital to expand business?
Yeah, there are 2 or 3 broad issues which have been touched upon by the other participants. One is what Mr. Aziz said to begin with, the crisis of 2008, which actually led to a regulatory oversight over financing for commercial real estate and including commercial real estate covering residential housing in a much more focused way, because a lot of loans which were given for commercial real estate and residential housing were under stress during that period, and then it was felt that in order to cope with this kind of stress in future, it is necessary to increase the risk weightage for loans given to this sector. That was the fallout of 2008. So there is also a history behind it which was touched upon by our respected Shankarji, that when I joined the bank in 1985 and I became a field officer in 1987, it was thought by all the commercial banks in the country that you should lend only for productive purposes. So housing loan was not thought of as a productive purpose. In 87, 89, 90, etc., a housing loan was not to be given by any bank in the country because it was thought that it is not for a productive purpose. From there, I think we have traveled far. We came to 2008, which I touched upon. So that crisis led to a realization that we need to increase the risk weightage for commercial real estate. With the result, what has happened is, it might be of, it might have an effect on companies like Shobha and our friends sitting across the table, that even if the borrower has a AAA rating from a rating agency, if it were for funding the steel sector or textiles or any other sector, the risk weightage for a loan which I give is just 20%, which means I lent 100 crores to a steel unit having a AAA rating. The exposure is considered to be only 20 crores. But as per Reserve Bank of India regulatory norms, even now, Shobha may have a AAA rating. If I give 100 crores, I have to provide for capital for 100 crores because Shobha is taking up a CRE project. If it is CRE residential housing, then the risk weightage uniformly is 75 crores, which means again, irrespective of the rating, irrespective of their debt profile, their financial strength, etc., irrespective of that, I need to provide capital for 75% of the loan that I give for a commercial real estate residential housing. So this is the regulatory position as of now. Then again, vis-a-vis any other sector of financing, I give a loan to again a steel sector on standard loans, not NPAs or stressed assets. All banks in India need to have a provision of 0.4%. If it is CRE, then we need to have a provision of 1%, which means my cost of lending goes up by 1% straight at the initial time of disbursal itself, because the lending is for a CRE, commercial real estate project. If it is residential housing, it comes down to 0.75. So there is a perception that this is a sensitive sector, that we need to have better oversight, etc. 35 to 40 lakhs overall cost comes within the RBI norms of priority sector. The maximum loan that can be given for classification as part of a priority sector is 28 lakhs, provided overall cost is within 35 lakhs. And remember, in overall cost, you can exclude your cupboards, you can have a lot of exclusions. I would say even your sanitary fittings, etc., you can exclude. So, which means in effect, you can have a 45 lakh house qualifying for a cost of project of 35 lakhs, the maximum loan being 28 lakhs. 28, it could be 30 or whatever, because some margin can be brought in. Now, there is tremendous amount of opportunity available in catering to this segment.
Correct.
So I feel that, given the fact that there is a national objective of providing housing for all, number two, there is an aspirational class. Forget the upper middle class or the middle class. There is an aspirational class. There is demand for what I would call affordable housing. Probably margins, etc. I don't know whether it will be attractive from a commercial point of view. And given the fact that there is a regulatory development act, real estate development act which has come into force, regulation development act which has come into force as of 2016, which is, I believe, I talked to a couple of builders before coming here, they are all welcoming it. As a banker, I would welcome it. As consumers, they would welcome it. I think the regulation was one aspect, and which is the reason why probably, and it is a sensitive sector because we have had examples of other countries. In India, it has not happened. The Southeast Asian crisis started with a real estate bust, where the capacity which was built up was maybe 2 times, 3 times more than the requirement, 1997 Thailand and all. So there is always a price fluctuation which is possible.
You were mentioning about these stocks, or the companies which is on the real estate, which is very stressed assets and all kind of. You look at the history of India in the last few years' time. The top few, take about 10 people, those who have got n number of NPAs. He is not from our industry.
Sir, there I differ. I'll tell you what. In 2008, for instance, I don't want to mention it because I have dealt with the company which is considered to be at least top 1, 2, 3, based out of Delhi, which everybody probably would know. So I have dealt with that company. I have dealt with companies based out of Bangalore, which are listed, which also I need not name. But in 2008 and 9, actually these companies were under stress, and the regulator, see, it's not a question of actually inability to pay, but the regulatory regime is slightly restrictive when it comes to the real estate sector. Whereby, I'll tell you what, even earlier, the provision for restructuring, a refacement which is available to textiles or steel or any other sector was not available to the real estate sector. Even 2008, thereafterwards also. I do not know actually the logic. Unless there is a macroeconomic concern that asset prices boom, like you pump money, then it will lead to a real estate boom, it will become unaffordable, etc., for which I am not qualified to make a judgment. But as things stand, the regulatory regime is and was treating the real estate sector separately than another sector like steel or textiles, or you take hotels or hospitals or any other sector. My point is, I am all for equal level playing treatment for the real estate sector, at least for real estate residential housing. And if you want to achieve 2022 housing for all, it is high time that you treated residential housing, and there also differentiate, if you want, between say 2 crores, 3 crores, that kind of housing, which is what you mentioned, where people generally go for investments. It is not considered. There is some surplus.
I'll come back to the finance if you don't. I just clarification want from you. Like, say, why this stepmotherly treatment to real estate industry? See, we are creating assets.
Yeah.
We are creating assets which is in maybe 150% more than what you lend, or maybe sometimes more than 200%, 300%.
Absolutely.
Then why this? You are charging huge amount.
Sir, I am on the social infrastructure, sir. I am building this nation. Isn't it? I am giving a housing to this nation.
I agree with you.
And where is what happened? What chap, airline chap or steel manufacturer, 5,000 crore, he comfortably go and get steel manufacturer, and he fails, and he today is in the what? Industry leader is finding it difficult to somehow come out of the industry now. So there you don't mind funding like anything.
Absolutely.
Whereas real estate, when you come to, you are looking with RBI stock in the real estate, or expose, you not do that, you charges are high. I don't understand.
Housing
not only in Kerala, with your permission. See, 2 or 3 points. One is, it is widely acknowledged that after agriculture, the largest employer in the country is the construction industry. There is no doubt about that. Number 2 is that, as you said, they are creating social infrastructure, and that is the need of the hour. Number 3. I am with you in your request or your perception that there needs to be a level playing ground, at least vis-a-vis other segments of economic activity. All I am saying is that my sense is that when, whoever was the governor in 2008, I also know who is the governor, had a feeling that this is a sector where easily, asset bubbles can be created.
No,
Like if money flows in, asset bubbles can be created because, prices will go up, and then there is a possibility wide fluctuations ഉണ്ടാവാൻ സാധ്യതയുണ്ട്.
There's one point I want to make it. See, you've been talking about RBI does government. He knows in and out of what is happening. It's sitting in the hand. What's happening there? Sorry, I'm telling you, real estate person, you take it, sir. 90% loan goes to the
End
2%.
user.
No. End user is something. I'm talking the commercial loan. I'm talking builder loan. 90% money goes to the 2% of the builders. Who make havoc in the market. He like people like big price. See, I'm telling you, know that I know all this. So what happened? You give the bigger, see, 500 crores, 1000 crores, you give to one builder, you give 2000 crores. You don't give Kerala how many? Sorry, I'm telling you.
You are right.
We have 50 good builders in Kerala. You don't give not even 5 crores each.
No, you are right. You are
We
right.
checked up, RBI, CRADO, we discussed, we fight with the builder. They said it's easier, we want one client, 500 rupees, 500 kodi കൊടുത്താൽ
No, you are right.
നമ്മൾ 5 കോടി 100 ആൾ കാണിക്കണ്ട.
I agree.
And risk levels are very high, they are suffering because and we are getting the bad name for them.
I
Just
agree.
because 2% people fail and you are given 20,000 crores to that kind of people. For example, I don't want to name you, but 25,000 crores ഇല്ലേ നമ്മളുടെ real estate രാജാവിന്റെ debt today. 25,000 crores.
I agree.
It's NPA. I'm not NPA.
Not
only
NPA
25 crores.
stress. But
So
I-
the question is, why give to one guy 25,000 crores?
But
That is where maybe they have failed it. അപ്പോൾ RBI ഗവർണർ പറയുന്നു your real estate expense is too high. Don't give to them. നമ്മൾ എല്ലാവരും കൊല്ലാണ് ചെയ്യുന്നത്. What we suggest, why don't you give to spread that?
I agree with you totally. I agree with you totally. And now, not only in real estate sector, there is increasing realization that concentration of risk. If a steel sector നോക്കിയാലും the same thing was happening. You go to a small, fellow who's, Latham or Smithy or whatever. He wants set up. People will not, bankers will not give. Whereas for somebody who is putting up a 6 million power project, because see, processing that is required for 100 crores and 1 crore is the same paperwork, and then you see that is actually that approach is not correct. I am all for it. ഇന്ന് വഴിമുഖത്ത് കച്ചവടം ചെയ്യുന്ന ഒരു ചെറുകിട ഒരു ഹോട്ടൽ ചായ കച്ചവടം ചെയ്യുന്ന ഒരാൾ 1 ലക്ഷത്തിന് പോയി കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ കൊടുക്കില്ല. അതേസമയം ഈ ഹോട്ടൽ നടത്തുന്ന മുതലാളി പോയി കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ 100 കോടിയോ 200 കോടിയോ കൊടുക്കും. See, that is an approach, difference in the approach.
That's what why don't you? That's what you know. You the boss know. Sitting at the help.
But
they know what to do.
Yeah, but slowly.
That's why you want to change the
If
change.
we go and approach, we are a party which you've been considered as, or a beneficial party.
No, but then you need not be. My point, Ramakrishnan ji, you need not be self-conscious. See, ultimately, ഞാൻ എപ്പോഴും എൻ്റെ റോളിനെ കാണുന്നത് as a banker, but my contribution is to national development. So if I work, if I am working, salary is one thing, but I have always thought when I lend, is it contributing to overall economic development? Is it creating jobs? Even if you come to borrow from me, I consider any entrepreneur as creating jobs. കാരണം ഒരാൾക്ക് ഒരു ഫാമിലിക്ക് ജോലി കൊടുക്കാൻ കിട്ടിക്കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ എനിക്ക് ഒരാളിനെ പോലും റിക്രൂട്ട് ചെയ്യാനുള്ള അധികാരമില്ല. As a senior most banker I cannot. But here comes somebody, I will give 5 lakhs. ഒരാൾക്ക് ജോലി ഒരു ഫാമിലി സർവേ ചെയ്യുന്നുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ am I not contributing to national? പക്ഷേ ഈ അപ്രോച്ച് വേണം. അത് ഞാൻ
See, what is happening today? Just take this. Just now, 1 hour back, MQ was telling. See, every year 100,000 job is being created in Bangalore. Who is creating this job? Who is giving the infrastructure? Who built Bangalore? Now I'm just who built Bangalore? You talk about millions of people are working in Bangalore. Government put up any IT park there? Any NGO or the so-called NGOs and these people put it? All over the country, why this all of a sudden there's a huge employment generations happened in this country? It is because of the realtors.
Yeah.
Only private realtors, I'm telling you. They build this infrastructure. They go to Bangalore, am I right? You talk about the smart city. What is smart city this government does? The Dubai people, they did the money, they brought money. Kerala government got money? No. Who is building that 5 million square feet is being built there now? Infopa, it goes except the first building, everything is being built by the private entrepreneur. You take in smart city now, 40 lakh square feet, Lulu is coming, 15 lakh square feet, so
Holiday group.
10 lakh, 15, almost 10 million square feet is being constructed next 5 years. Who is building it? You've been talking about 25 years, Dubai is coming, Dubai put it, they didn't put any money there. So question is, why this discrimination? Even today, after all these things, now the industry is being tarnished. And people are taking, every other day, talk, even the politician you talk about, your government, smart city. What are they taking? We are doing only legal. We do everything legal. We don't do anything illegal, land grabbing or land matter. But we don't allow to do legitimate, decent business. That is the major issue.